Yeah, man, this new single, dude, Resurrecting Reasons
Are we
is
going now? Are we
we're
rolling?
going. We're
Okay,
rolling.
let's do it.
We're rolling. The new single, man, is so good. It's on the deluxe edition. I love that you brought. Now, is it just TJ or is it all of Decyfer Down?
It was just TJ,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, I just love that you brought TJ onto it because it brought a really good feel to the song, but I also love how it starts off acoustic because Disciple has so many great power ballads. I just love how the song starts. Can you just tell me a little bit about what inspired that song for you guys, not just musically, but lyrically? Because you guys always have such strong lyrics that really your faith is evident in what you sing about and what you play. And that's this song.
Yeah, it's awesome you say that. I'd say that um sometimes thinking about faith, people assume that you've got everything all together. And I think this song comes from a place where I was literally getting my life back together after hitting rock bottom and just turning things around. And it's every word of it is an autobiography, and just how I was in that day. And um, as Andrew can attest, most of our songs we spend a lot of time on them, like revising them, going over them, things like that. And this one was one of those that just was written, and it was written just straight out of the heart, and we didn't even do anything to it. We just left it as is. The
That's all.
song sounds just like the voice memo I made on day one, maybe just in a little bit of a lower key, probably. I was singing it outrageously high for that day for some reason. I don't know why. To get that extra emotion. But
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very personal song. I think that's why we like it a whole lot. Is because those types of songs invoke a lot of emotion, and that's fun for us.
Yeah, when Andrew, when you get these songs from Kevin, you're hearing, how personal these songs are and just honestly how deep they get. When you get a song like Resurrecting Reasons, like what are you guys feeling when you hear these lyrics for the first time?
Yeah, like he said, there's usually a process with songs. Like we're, already starting to write new stuff now for our next release, and we're making music beds and we're writing songs, and some of them start with vocals or start with the vocals and music together, I should say, and then some start with just music, and then we do revisions before we even have vocals written. But with Resurrecting, it's like, okay, cool, that's done. I'm just gonna play along. And so playing along to a song like that is great because as much as I love, classic rock and metal and progressive and all that stuff, I also love Tom Petty and love
Yeah.
Beatles and Queen and bands that wrote really great songs where you could just play a song on an acoustic guitar and it's great and it says everything it's supposed to say. And so our job as musicians there is to like enhance that without getting in the way of it. So that was fun and easy, and then we also got to add some solos and instrumental sections. But yeah, Josiah producing it kind of just arranged the chord progressions and the bridge a little bit, but really it goes back to that voice memo, and it's important to not overcomplicate it. And that was really the battle with this song, production wise and writing wise.
Yeah.
How can we just leave it?
Yeah, I was about to say we're actually, like he said, we're in the writing process. Andrew just sent over a demo last night to everyone's. It's just kind of how our process works. He sent over music. There's no lyrics on it, and we're all listening to it, and we're all gushing over it. We're like, "This is amazing. This is awesome," and we're all like, "Ah, this is what I do. These are our ideas," and we're just doing all these things, right? And Resurrecting Reasons wasn't that way at all. It was the opposite. It was just kind of like, all right, this is good. And one of the things that we do is we'll start working on something and we'll add all these things and add all these sounds, and we'll just keep adding and keep adding and keep adding. And I wanted to really fight that on this song, and I said I want to go for the opposite. I want to see it as stripped down as it can be, as 1991 as it can be, a guitar, a bass, drums, that's it. Nothing else. A guitar solo. And we did that, and then we went even further on the TJ mix, because if you'll know, this is obviously a little inside baseball here. Probably wouldn't even notice without me telling you, but the original version, which is just me singing, the guitar tones, have a little bit more distortion, a little bit more gain, and there's a little bit of gain on my vocal as well. That is all stripped away and taken back even further on the TJ version, where my voice is a lot cleaner, and then the guitars barely have any gain on them at all. Like when the guitar solo happens, it's like the guitar solo is like a screaming eagle coming out of the sky, because it's really the first time you're hearing gain in the song, on that kind of level. And so that was something that was you had to fight for, because our instincts are always to just let's put this here, let's put this here, let's put this here, let's do this thing, let's do this thing. And sometimes that works out really, really, really great. And on Resurrecting, we were just kind of like, we're gonna go for easy, simple, just a guitar.
Yes, I love it. What was it about? I mean, you guys go back so far with the dudes in Decyfer Down, TJ. I mean, one thing I love about both bands is you guys, have a strong mainstream following, but you guys still make a point to play churches and the smaller venues as well. And the ministry side is such a prominent part of what you guys do still. And that's the same thing for both bands, I feel like. How special was it to have him on this version of the song?
Really special. It's one of those things, we didn't know how good of an idea it was until after the fact. The way the idea came up was, we're doing a deluxe edition for Skeleton Psalms, and Josiah had the idea of, he's seen a lot of bands kind of re-release a song that has already come out but have somebody featured on it.
Yeah.
He was like, let's do that. Let's have somebody come out and feature on a song. And I can't remember whose idea it was to have TJ on there. I honestly can't remember, but whoever his idea it was, knocked it out of the park, because basically what he did, um, he's got this soulful Southern, all these little blues runs that he does. And the song has already got that emotion anyway. And that you add the Southern, the blues, that kind of talent where he can just do all these actual vocal runs that are so cool. He just is so good at that. And he can sing higher than I can too. So it was just literally like a back and forth. You can kind of hear it in the song, just like, I'll go, he goes, I'll go, he goes. Um, I mean, it was perfect. And I kind of laid it out on a phone call. Hey, like, do this. And then he just took it to the next level and added all kinds of things that were his idea. So he really took it and did a lot of things on his own, and made it pretty special.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was definitely early in the process where it was like, yeah, we know who's a good match for this fun.
I mentioned it just a second ago. It's really cool that you guys we can see you guys playing Winter Jam in arenas, but you guys still make a point to go right down to like a Kingdom Come festival in Indiana or some churches and stuff like that, like which I think is really cool because the youth in the church they're the future, and there's not enough bands that make a point to go to those places and play for churches and that demographic. What is it that's so important for you guys to continue to do that over the years? Because we see you guys at the big and the small, and there's not a lot of bands that are still doing that, but you guys do, and I think it's absolutely amazing.
Early on, when I was a teenager, even I kind of adopted the mentality of, if the door opens, we're going. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, within reason. I can think of a couple places we wouldn't play, but if the door opens, we're going. Like so. Church, bar, school, venue, theater, whatever. We're playing all those outside festival, whatever, mainstream festival, opening up for some mainstream band that has, crazy satanic even lyrics or whatever. I'm like, absolutely, we'll be there. Tell what time we load in, you know.
Right.
And I kind of have always had that attitude. And I think that, we do a really good job of being ourselves. So like playing churches is just kind of that's who we love playing churches. We play a ton of churches, a lot, and then this past week or week before we played a bar, a church one night, a bar the next night or whatever. And we're just ourselves. We don't really try to act very differently.
Yeah.
And I think that, once you go into a room and people find out you're a Christian band, but they also find out that you view them as someone who's created in the image of God, as opposed to someone who's coming in telling them that that they're less than you, on some level because of whatever, And that's a lot of the ways people view religion is they, as people with some kind of religious philosophy are better than everybody else. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Christianity is like Jesus was like saying to his disciples, hey, if you want to be the greatest in the kingdom of God, then you become the least. And I think that's the beautiful thing, that we just go in and we're being ourselves and disarm people from from them knowing that we don't think that we're better than anybody in the room, and we're here to play music, entertain, have a good time, and love on people and lift them up. So yeah, if the door opens, we're going.
I love it. I love it. Um, and I feel like in the mainstream, there's so much more open-mindedness and respect for Christian bands or bands of Christian dudes and Christian people and Christians now. You turn on Octane and it's normal to hear you guys or TFK or Skillet or, any of these bands now. And there's so much more acceptance for it in the mainstream now. And it's awesome because you guys really are a light in the darkness and taking a message to an audience that would never give it a chance. And it's so cool to see you guys doing that, It's absolutely amazing. So, um, what can you guys tell me about your Grammy experience this year?
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, speaking of mainstream, it was
There's
very
that.
yeah. And
That
that's
happened. You were
yeah.
there.
And
Yeah,
it's not
it was very
typical for us
mainstream.
to spend that much time, I guess, outside of our I don't want to call it comfort zone, but just the world that we usually are in. So it was kind of an adventure, and it was very humbling. Like we met the guys from Judas Priest who were really nice. we
Yeah, awesome guys.
Oh,
Yeah, we met with some interviews with press people on the actual red carpet, which was
nice.
crazy.
That's
I
awesome.
don't think they knew who we were, but they got a little prep sheet and asked some questions. They didn't call us Skillet, like how Spirit Box got called Poppy. That would have
Oh,
been
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
we could have gone viral, but that's fine.
Oh
No,
man, I
it was
forgot
great.
about
We had a lot of fun, and yeah, it was. I feel like a once in a lifetime.
Yeah, and the wives got dolled up. The wives looked amazing.
that.
Um,
Nice.
and all our families, the Christian part of the show is like called a pre-telecast. It's before the main show,
Right.
and all of our families were watching the pre-telecast, and it's not censored, so whatever's said is just whatever's said. And so we were laughing because all of our really really conservative family members got to hear just a barrage of swear words right in the beginning of the thing. We're like, man, they may not watch the rest of the show.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was definitely worried that it was gonna
That
get.
your dad,
Yeah, like, oh, my dad's turning this off right now.
yeah, he's shut it down. He's turning it off.
Yeah,
He's not gonna.
he
He'll
watched.
just let you text him. What happened?
Yeah, he made it through, but yeah, I could feel his discomfort from across the country,
Oh,
from across the state, because we were actually in California.
Oh,
that's
that,
funny.
that's great. Um, I've always seen I've always seen Disciple is kind of one of the big four when it comes to Christian rock. Skillet, Red, Thousand Foot Crutch, Disciple. Just like
Man, we gotta do an interview with this guy all the time, man. This feels
Yeah, can you book our next tour?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
seriously.
in. Yes. Just like back in the 80s, the big four, Petra, Striper, White Cross, Bride. Um,
Gosh, he nailed it. That's
yes.
mine. I had the big five though.
Yeah. Yeah,
Who's
we
I
just
added only
who's
one more.
yeah.
Good?
Guardian was
Yeah.
Guardian.
my
Guardian.
other one.
I just did an
How
interview
old are
with
you? You don't
Greg.
look old enough to know those bands. You don't look my age. What are you? You look like a
Greg from
baby.
Murder Records told me the same thing at Cornerstone one year.
Jeez,
I just did an
man.
interview with Jamie from Guardian a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
Nice.
I got to ask you, it's the question, Schlitt or Vols?
Well, I mean, they're both incredible, but I didn't discover Petra until 1987 on the This Means War album. So John Schlitt was the first my
Same,
introduction to Petra. So he is Petra for me. So
same.
everything I discovered, I went and collected Petra retroactively and just
Yeah.
collected all their albums, and back then, in the late 80s, I mean, I was a small child, and I mean, I didn't have like endless amounts of money. So I mean, there was no Spotify, Apple Music or whatever. So you had to go to the Christian bookstore and
Hope they
talk your
had it.
parents into in buying whatever music, and it was
Yeah.
so expensive. And so like I didn't I like I said, I discovered this when I was like 11 or 12. I didn't get a job till I was like 16, so it's like just years of like begging my family to buy me music. And yeah, so I retroactively bought all of Petra's albums, and of course loved Greg
Mhm.
Bolts. So he's amazing. He's incredible. But John is Petra to me. His voice is really raspy and really metal. Really, that he captures that essence of what that late '80s
Yeah.
vocalist sound. It was kind of like he could sing, he could hit all the high notes, but he had this rasp to it that was really interesting, and I loved that. And so I have a lot of rasp in my voice
Mhm.
as well. And so like guys like him and Bon Jovi and those kinds of singers, and Sebastian Bach, those kinds of singers were the ones that really shaped me. I would definitely go as far as to say Jamie Rowe from Guardian was a huge
Yes.
influence. I would say that early on, I probably sounded more like Jamie Rowe, like
Mhm.
because he's like a dirty Bon Jovi in my opinion. Just like if Bon Jovi just woke up and ate sandpaper for breakfast, that's what Jamie Rowe sounds like. And that's what I tried to sound
Yeah.
like and did sound like for a long time there in the beginning. And so yeah, those were the guys. So John Schlitt for sure.
I remember when I always as a kid didn't know that there was another singer or two before John Schlitt. And when my dad played me God Pleaser, I got mad because I thought he was lying about who that band was because I did not know Craig Foltz was in the band before as a kid. And I'm like, that is not
Yeah.
true. That is not. But as I got older, like it's good, but it's
Here's the thing, man.
always Schlitt all
Greg
the way.
Greg is a singer. I mean, he can sing his butt off. Just
Yeah,
it's crazy. I sing along because, and quietly because I can't hit the notes that he hits.
few
I mean,
can. Few can.
he's up there in the stratosphere. So and Adonai is my favorite song. I wish I could sing it, but
It's amazing.
it's up there in soprano land. So, but
I
maybe one
gotta
day.
ask you, I gotta ask you guys getting back onto Disciple. You're working on new music. You posted about it on social media. Like, where are we at in the process? How is it sounding? And how amazing is this new Disciple music? Because we're all ready for it.
Are you talking about what's getting ready to come out a couple weeks from now? Or are you talking about what we are working on right now?
Let's go both.
Okay. Um, well, I can say what we're working on right now. This is an easy answer, is we just started.
Okay.
But a lot of the demos that we've heard, have come from Andrew's creativity. I've given him the accolade of that's the best demo I've ever heard on one of the tracks he turned in. So like I expect I
Oh,
expect great things.
oh,
And I'm kind of feeling my voice feels good right now. Um and so, in the back again days, I was kind of like I was singing really heavy, and kind of the stuff that Andrew's turning out is really in that vein of just it's very heavy. Um, and so we might do a little bit of that on this album, or a lot of it. I don't know. But I'm feeling it a little bit. Like that's when I'm wanting to write, those
Yeah.
seven dust type songs with the heavy verses and the big choruses. That's
Yes.
that's the way we like to write songs. So Disciples guilty of that, heavy verses and big choruses. And then the songs that's coming out April 25th, that's the Skeleton Psalms Deluxe Edition. So there'll be two songs you haven't heard. If You Say So has come out, you've heard that. Sound the Alarms come out, you've heard that. Resurrecting Reasons come out, you've heard that. There'll be two new songs, a song called Never Sleep and a song called Make War. There'll be a Promise to Live acoustic track on there. There'll be an EDM version of The Executioner, which when I first heard that idea, I was like, that's weird. Why are we doing that? And then I heard the track and I was like, it's actually really, really good. And then we did six live songs from our Skelevision concert, which was our CD release party for Skeleton Songs. CD release concert for Skeleton Psalms, and there's actually three of those live songs are older songs. I'll just tell you what they are because I don't care. That's how I do. I don't just forget the surprise. If you're watching the interview this far, you've earned it. That's
There we
what I
go.
think. But we're doing a live version of Long Live the Rebels, which I'm super excited about because we love the song "Long Live the Rebels," but the album track is good, it's fine, but it didn't turn out the way that we were wanting it to. We had other and like there's things about it that we wish were different. And so I'm really excited about this live version of Long Live the Rebels because it captures the intensity of just and our passion for how we love the song, and then like also playing it live, the fans really get into it. And then also Oh God Save Us All live, and which also has like this really cool outro ending that we were doing at shows for a while that
Just a
is
brief
captured.
little, just a short outro.
Yeah, just a
Like,
little tiny little short one. That's sarcasm. But that's something that's really special that it's got recorded because I think 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we'll listen back to that and we'll be like, oh yeah, remember when we played that outro all the time? And then for the old school Disciple fans, there's a live version of the song I Just Know on there. So that's going to be really, really special, I think.
Andrew, does it feel like you've been in the band for over a decade now? Because I remember when you came into the band, man. Does it feel like it's been that long, or does it just feel like just yesterday?
yeah, it's kind of flown by. Uh, so I started playing shows with Disciple in 2013.
Mhm.
And then at the end of that year, the very end of that year, my wife and I moved from California to Nashville. So that's been, yeah, 11 and almost 11 and a half years, which is nuts. So just thinking about that mentality of like, oh yeah, let's move to Nashville for a couple years and see what happens. And then looking at our life now, half our family lives here and we own a business here, a different related business. And I've lived in our house for a decade, so it's weird to think like that. Yeah, it just became the path. But I think it's definitely what God had for us. And I took a couple years off of touring in there. So when you total up my time, there's this blip. But I stayed involved with writing, and then doing the live streams during COVID was part of what got me back into playing live and eventually back on tour after the pandemic and stuff. So it feels in one sense for sure like like probably anybody that moves as far away from home as I did, like there's a deep part of your mind where it's like you're always like, okay, but I'm going back home, right? Or something.
Yeah.
So there's that thing in there, but at the same time, like I can't imagine a different life. And I really do, it sounds corny, but I really do sort of pinch myself, like waking up in my house here, having a home studio, getting to work on music. That was a dream. Getting to wake up on a bus and play shows and hang out with my buddies and do music every night for people that like it, that was a dream. And so to have both of those things be real, I definitely go through that experience all the time of like, how did this happen? Or or at the same time feeling that relief of like, wow, like this happened. Like I don't, I spent a lot of years wanting it to exist, and now it does, or it has for a long time. And so yeah, you just feel extremely blessed and privileged, and do everything you can to keep it going.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's a really strange, probably bad answer to your question. I don't know how it feels, but it definitely feels.
Well, it depends on the day or the month.
You you weren't really out of the band for 2 years, were you? Was it 2 years?
So yeah,
There's no way.
2019. I did play like two shows, I think, in there when they were like around Nashville. So, and then we made Love Letter Kill Shot at the beginning of that year. So I was around a lot for that. But yeah, when you guys did tours for that year, I was not there. And then 2020, same thing. But
Mhm.
with all the tours getting canceled, I ended up being around for the live streams. And so it's like technically that's the answer, but yeah, in reality, I think it was pretty unnoticeable because of how it worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Final question for both of you guys. For both of you, what is the best part of having the ministry side of Disciple still be so strong after all of these years and such a focal point?
You know, I think that everybody's good at something, God just kind of gives people gifts and talents. And I that's just something I guess it was the way I was raised. I was raised around a lot of evangelism, and I was just, always um watching it, seeing it, a part of it, constantly as a child. And that that upbringing really kind of put me in that mindset. I don't think I would ever be a good pastor, or anything like, I don't think I'd be a good anything else, but like evangelism is like part of the identity of who we are. And so, um, and we really don't put that much pressure on ourselves, because it's kind of a God thing to save somebody. We can't really save anybody. And so we just try to do our part, to present the message in a very simple, understandable, personal way, and let God do the rest. And I'd say since Andrew's been in the band, it's probably count less than one hand somebody hasn't received Christ at a show where a message was given. It's very rare, and it's not, again, like I say, yeah, that yeah, we're good at it, but I also can't take any credit for it at the same time, because um, this is what I tell people. If I give the exact same message in the exact same words to a group, to a crowd, that I do at a disciple show, it's usually flat, and it's usually just kind of, not very impactful, not very whatever. But there's something about the magic, and I tell the guys all the time, because it's true. There's something about the magic of the songs and the show, and then the message and the response. It's night and day, completely night and day. And it I think it confirms, like, that's, what we're all on earth to do, really, is this thing. And so yeah, everybody plays their part in the kingdom of God and the body of Christ, and that's kind of our part, is um well, people catching, I guess.
I love
Yeah,
it.
there's a real craving people have for honesty. And I know the music industry is totally in flux still with streaming and
Yeah.
getting used to how the business is supposed to work and all that. But I think people have a even larger need for honest music. They hear auto-tuned EDM stuff all day long. We hear, stuff in the background all throughout the day, and it's not really important. So when something cuts through all that noise as an honest song, like Resurrecting Reasons does, this is not made with a computer. Maybe a computer helped get it to your ears, but it's like the song is made by humans, and the
Mm.
words are made by humans, and they have real emotions and real stories, and that's a very powerful, visceral thing for people. And so, like Kevin was saying, we see that at a disciple concert. It's like this experience, it's like a whole story there, and he's worked for decades to like craft what that is, and logging what works and what doesn't. Um, as far as like conveying, yeah, the honesty with the songs and the honesty of the message there. And so we're at a place now where, yeah, I think a lot of people show up knowing what to expect, and that's our core support. But then so many people come every show that think either A, we're a new band, or or B, they're like, oh, I've heard of you, but I've never seen you. Or we have people say, I've been listening to you for 20 years, but I've never been to a show. And so they haven't experienced that part, like the ministry part. And so God has a way of, just using every piece of our existence to like, yeah, speak through that. And we're always surprised, it's never like exactly what we think.
Yeah.
Never,
I,
never.
I
Yeah,
think,
as humans, we judge a situation in every concert, and we're literally surprised every week. We're like, wow, that was crazy. Did this? And again, it's kind of it's a God thing. It's like, I guess that's anybody who works for him on some level and does things. You're always surprised at things that happen, because I guess that's just how he does.
and you guys touch on it. The world's just looking for authenticity and something real and something that they can feel that's real and that's positive now. And with the emergence of Christian bands going into mainstream being accepted, people are finally seeing that good music is just good music. And if there's positivity behind it, they want to hear it and they want to feel it. And if they feel like you're one of them, and if we're one of them and you're one of us, they're more likely to listen to what you have to say and actually give it a chance,
Yeah,
take it to heart. And I think for the first time in a long time, there's people are really open to hearing the message right now, especially if they feel like it's just a normal dude talking to them about what they feel.
yeah,
And that's what you guys have always done over the course of the 30 some years that Disciple has been around. And that's one thing that
yeah.
has kept you guys going.
Yeah, I think I've made a lot of mistakes, and hopefully we'll, continue to not make it that many. But I think when we're honest about that, it really does break through, you know, as like, oh, this guy, he's not perfect. He's talking about not being perfect,
Right.
but and I don't have all the answers, but I have found some things that work for me, and I have found some things that work really well. And so, like, kind of coming from that place of, like, and I don't have all the answers. I have made a ton of mistakes, but I found some things that work, and Jesus is one of those things, and here's some ways of following him that worked for me, and I, yeah, share them and honest about it, and try to not come off as like, where it's arguable, like where
Right.
you can argue a point or something. It's like that. I don't get into that. And anybody that wants to argue theology with me, I'm like, you can watch me head for the door. There was some of that this past week when they're entering. I was like, no, no,
Yep.
no, yeah,
Alice
yeah.
Cooper says the same thing. I
Yeah,
just
I got
believe
no
what I
time
believe.
for it, man. I'm here to talk about Jesus. That's what
Yep.
our song I Just Know is really all about, is
Yeah,
he's the way, the truth, and the life, and everything else. Yeah, if you want to argue about it, you can, but I'm not going to.
exactly. Guys,
What are
thank
you
you.
going to say, Drew?
Yeah, Andrew, what you
Oh yeah.
got?
No, just agreeing with you. Exactly what
Yeah,
you said about I just know, life has details, and of course we're all different individuals and we're going to disagree about details of life on things, but we're not out here to like highlight that and divide people more or get people riled up or angry about stuff. Like, we're here to bring the message of Jesus because we're free to do that. We love that we're, completely free and able to. And so we want to do that. And then, yeah, just so much bigger than all those other things that we like to get caught up on, and it feels really good to be in a place, coming into Disciple after it existed for 20 years already. It feels really good for me and the other guys to be in a place where we know that's always what we come back to. Like that's always been the consistent story of the band and of our time here. So it's always going to be the priority.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much for doing this today and taking time with me. And thank you for just being you guys and giving us the music you guys are giving us and have given us. And thank you for everything you guys do.
Thank you, Reggie. Appreciate it. And congratulations on the baby face. You look 23 years old, so I don't even know how you're doing this
I'm
right
almost
now.
40,
So,
man.
well done, sir.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
Well done.
that. I appreciate that.